I guess I'll talk about the Texas winter solstice before Jason Unruh does. Mostly I'm talking about it because my girlfriend was like, why don't you talk about the Texas thing? Baby, it's cold outside. And I'm like, I'll keep you warm, baby girl. Anyway, point is that Jason is going to give you some bullshit about how this could have been prevented if it wasn't for capitalism and blah, blah, blah. And he's full of shit. Because essentially, this not only would the same thing have happened, it would have been a lot worse under, well, at least his version of communism, third worldism. Because, you know, he likes to talk a big game about how, I think the number was 60 people. 60 people died. That's probably what he'll bring up. 60 people died. But if it were China, it would have been 600,000 people that died. And Jason Wong, the Chinese Unruh, probably would have gone missing had he brought it up, the numbers. So, there you go. My point is that, you know, we have a right to be angry about what happened. About anything, really. It doesn't have to be this specifically. We have a right to be angry because we do work, and we do pay taxes, and we do cooperate with society. It comes down to the social contract. I know that's a liberal concept, but it's true. We participate in society and expect, in return, the protections and the rights granted thereof in the law. That's why we have constitutions, that's why we have elections, that's why we have, you know, debates and bullshit like that. We do all of this as symbolism to the fact that the government realizes that we as a people, we don't have to do shit. We don't have to go to work. We don't have to be functional. We could just be fucking insane terrorists, insane in the membrane. But we don't. And they understand that as a good gesture, that, you know, they provide services and they provide protections, you know, because we don't want to live in chaos. Well, most of us don't. But, you know, that's why we have the things that we do. And they're not satisfied with that, because that's not even democratic socialism, liberal democracy. That's, you know, this and that. They have names for all this bullshit, but what it really comes down to is, where is the line between what we as a community, what we as a society consent to, and what we consent to as an individual, and when does that come into conflict? And they don't really have answers for those kinds of questions, because, you know, for them, you know, things wouldn't be the same in communism. Yeah, it wouldn't at all. You as a first worlder cannot imagine what it would be like in their fantasy utopian, you know, third world bullshit. Because you couldn't order shit on Amazon, for example. Let's say everything was as it is today, but under communism. There's COVID, there was the winter thing, all of it. But now it's communist. What does that entail? You can't just order shit on Amazon. Is there a communist Amazon? Maybe. I mean, I'm sure there's some state-sponsored website where, you know, they can order what they need, but then you need some form of currency. You can't escape that. You can't escape the fact that some people will have more than other people. There's nothing wrong with some people having more than you. It's just the fact that when you feel the disparity of you have so much less and you're working so much harder, that's where the injustice comes in. That's why you need reforms. That's why you need this and that, and that's what they call liberalism. So you can't escape some of these certain factoids, but then they want to act like it's going to be this massive difference. It's not. It can't be, and they refuse to acknowledge that because they're religious. They're just as religious as some Christian wacko blowing up a fucking abortion clinic. They're just as religious as some ISIS guy. You know, it's the same bullshit. I mean, yeah, they don't worship a spiritual, metaphysical entity, but it's the same ideology. And they refuse to admit that they just have faith. They have a greater faith, and that the system will somehow manifest itself into this workable thing that's so different from what we have now. And I could make videos all day about that kind of shit. I really don't want to, but that's, you know, and when I see situations like this with, you know, people dying and freezing to death when there's no need. And I should bring up Ted Cruz too, because I kind of like Ted Cruz because he was one of the few American politicians that said anything at all to Mark Zuckerberg. And you know how I feel about that. So I give him a pass. But I understand why people are as pissed as they are. Because at the end of the day, these people are thinking, you know, I've gone to work and paid my taxes and I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I followed the law, which is full of cuckoldery, you know, for however many years they've been alive on this earth. And this is what I have to fucking show for it. This is how they repay me, by fucking going to Mexico on a vacation while me and my children are freezing to death. That's fucked. That's, you know, beyond the pale. And, you know, while I'm bringing that up to you, Jason's going to bring up to you some bullshit about how it's capitalism. That's not capitalism. That's just the incompetence and the fact that they don't give a fuck about you. And of course they don't give a fuck about you. You never gave them a reason to. You know, should it surprise you it's taken 30-some years to just acknowledge that moderators are an issue? And that, you know, they don't care if you live or die. They don't have to be satanic pedophiles. They don't have to be vampires or aliens or whatever the fuck Alex Jones is saying. They just don't give a fuck about you. They're sociopaths. And there's lots of sociopaths in the world. I've been friends with a few of them. And, you know, but you can be functional. You can still understand the difference between I should probably not do that versus, you know, oh, you know, maybe I could get away with it. They don't have that rationality either because you never gave them a reason to. And this video is already going on 7 minutes.